Everyone is inventing so many methods. Consequently, human society has lost the standard ways of life, both materially and spiritually. And as a result, people are bewildered and there is no peace or happiness in the world. Although they are trying to solve the problems of human society in the United Nations, they are still baffled because they do not follow the liberated instructions of the Vedas. They are unhappy. Two significant words used in this verse are asmin and amushmin. Amushmin means in this life, asmin means in this life, and amushmin means in the next life. Unfortunately, people in this age, even exalted professors and learned men, believe that there is no next life and that everything is finished in this life. Since they are rascals and fools, what advice can they give? Still, they are passing as learned scholars and professors. In this word, the amushmin is very explicit. It is the duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that he will have a profitable next life. Just as a boy is educated in order to become happy later, one should be educated in this life in order to attain an eternal and prosperous life after death. It is therefore essential that people follow what is given in the Shrutis and Smritis to make sure that the human mission is successful. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Vena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shashi Rupam Satrijatam Sargan Raghunathanvitam Tam Sivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sargan Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Shcha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते तप्तकांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी क्षिपानुस्ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च वासुदेवस्य पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मोहम करोति वाचालं पंकं मेदे कृम्यक्पादं Muhammad Shri Guru Dinatana Paramanama Shri Chaitanya Mission. Hare Krishna. So we see in this chapter Maharaja Prithu milks the earth planet. So far what we have discussed is that Prithu Maharaj is angry with Mother Earth because she was not producing enough grains. So Prithu Maharaj chastises Mother Earth. And first, she takes the form of a cow because cow is never to be killed. Then she pleads with Pitu Maharaj, being a woman, uh, that she should be protected. That is one of the important points in today's verses also. Then, even though she offered so many prayers that you are the one who created me, so you can kill me also, but why do you want to kill me? You are the one who should give me protection. So after all these things, even though she offered so many prayers, Pitu Maharaj's anger did not subside. He was very upset. So from here, we'll take on there. So even though she offered prayers, the first sloka says that Pitu was not King Pitu was not satisfied, and his lips trembled in great anger. So one point here is that the Lord's anger is different from our anger. Our anger is normally caused due to lusty desires. It is said that if our lusty desires are not fulfilled, then anger arises in us. But the Lord is Atma Rama. Atma Rama means he is full in himself. So he does not have any desires for his satisfaction. So the question of anger in his case is different from the anger that we get. So Lord's anger and pleasure both are absolute because the Lord is absolute. The Lord's anger and the Lord's smiling both are on the same platform. We'll look at some examples here. And there is a quote in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto itself, where the translation says that Ashwatthama, after binding Ashwatthama, Arjuna wanted to take him to the military camp. So the Lord Krishna saw this and he spoke to Arjuna, who was very angry at that time. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains the difference between the anger of Arjuna and Lord Shri Krishna. So Krishna is also in an angry mood and Arjuna is also in an angry mood. But Arjuna's eyes were like balls of red copper. You know, red copper, when it is kept in fire, is burning hot. Whereas here Srila Prabhupada mentions that the eyes of Lord Krishna were like lotuses. That means that the angry mood of Arjuna and that of Lord Krishna are not on the same level. The Lord is transcendental. He is beyond the three modes of material nature, and he's also absolute. So his anger cannot be compared to the anger of any other condition living being who are uh, attract, attacked by the three modes of material nature. So it is said that the Lord's anger and pleasure both are on the same platform. Not only that, when the Lord expresses his anger, the object of the anger is also blessed. That means on the personality on whom the Lord showed his anger, he is benefited by the Lord's anger. So it is like a blessing. If the Lord gets angry on somebody, it's a blessing. And the example is given in Bhagavatam itself that the Lord got angry on Shishupal. The Lord killed him, but he got liberated. Similarly, when Lord Narasimhadeva killed Hiranyakashipu, the Lord became very, very angry. But Hiranyakashipu got delivered because he was killed by the Lord himself. So, Narasimhadeva's anger, it is said, that could be understood only by Prahalad Maharaj, not even by Srimati Lakshmi Devi, his good wife. So, the Lord's anger was not in the mode of even goodness or passionate ignorance because he was transcendental to the three modes. In fact, the Lord takes a garland and puts it on the neck, takes a garland of intestines of Hiranyakashipu and puts it on the neck. That means if we are given a garland of intestines, we would be averse to it. But the Lord is beyond the three modes of material nature, and the Lord put it on himself. The next point that is mentioned here is that Mother Earth was still trembling, seeing Prithu Maharaj. So she started to convince Prithu Maharaj. The next sloka we find that she starts trying to pacify Prithu Maharaj. He says, "My dear Lord, please pacify your anger completely and hear patiently whatever I submit before you. Please turn your kind attention to this. I may be very poor, but a learned man takes the essence of knowledge from all places, just as a bumblebee collects honey from each and every flower." So here also there are some important points. One is that Mother Earth did not just give up saying because Prithu Maharaj did not listen to her. She first tried to offer prayers, and now she is trying to convince him. And then we'll get the answer also from her in the subsequent slokas. Here she says that I'm a very poor woman, and a learned man takes the essence of knowledge from all places. And she cites an example that a bumblebee collects honey from each and every flower. So two analogies can be given. One is a bumblebee. Bumblebee collects honey from wherever flower it is available. Whereas a normal fly that we see, it goes to a place where stools are there and takes that stool. This is a difference between bumblebee and the normal fly. But bumblebee collects honey and it takes it to the other bees in the hive. This is the extraordinary characteristic of a bumblebee. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, the 11th canto, there is a quote where you might have heard about the Avanti Brahmana, who learns different things from different personalities. And one of the things he learns from the bumblebee is that he says in the translation, just as a honeybee takes nectar from all flowers, big and small, an intelligent human being should take the essence from all the religious scriptures. That means here there are different analogies given that a honeybee takes honey without considering whether the flower is big or small. So, similarly, an intelligent human being is one who should take the essence from all the religious scriptures that we will try to understand today. So, one is that the Srila Prabhupada mentions the purport that the Lord Himself tells Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, as it is 15:15, Sarvasya Jahara Vidyo Vedasya Sevam सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्ट मतस्मृति ज्ञानम अपोहनम च वेदेश सर्वे अहमेव. So the Lord says that from me comes intelligence, from me comes knowledge, from me comes forgetfulness. And then the Lord also says in the second part of that sloka, the purpose of understanding Vedas is to know me. So if one reads the Vedas, but if he has not understood the purpose of knowing Krishna, then that reading has been a waste. So the purport, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada mentions that a honeybee does not waste its time. It just takes the nectar and carries away. The honeybee also does not try to take the tree or the bush. It just takes the honey and goes away and creates beehive. So it is also concluded that education does not necessarily mean somebody is highly intellectual. He can carry load like an ass. Srila Prabhupada gives an example of an ass. Normally, a washerman puts a carrot hanging on the ass neck, and at the same time, he puts a heavy load on the donkey and takes it for washing. So similarly, you will find a lot of people who are working very hard, like asses, seeing the carrot that is dangling in their neck. So they are waiting, when will I get the next promotion? When will I get promoted and that I can work more like a donkey? But the donkey doesn't know what is the purpose. The washerman giving a carrot. On one side, he's putting a carrot on the neck, and the other side, he's putting a heavy load of clothes on the ass's body. So Srila Prabhupada quotes also gives a quote from Niti Shastra by Chanakya Pandita. I'll just read the translation. It says that one should take nectar even from a poison and gold even from a filthy place. That means uh, if there is nectar available in a mixture of poison and nectar, an intelligent person is one who will take the nectar out of it and take that nectar. And even if gold is available in a place where there is stool, still an intelligent person is one who will take that gold because gold has got its own value. It doesn't see the stool by the side of it. Similarly, the second part of this sloka says one should accept knowledge even from a low person and a good wife, even if she comes from a low family. That means one should accept knowledge wherever he can get it. And that is very difficult today. So even if a person is born in a low class family or a good wife who is from a low family, if he's giving good advice, one should take that. This is what Mother Earth is pleading to Prithu Maharaj. Now she is coming to a surrendering mood that please listen to me. First, take the knowledge which I am giving. I may be very poor, I may be a woman, but please take the essence of the knowledge which I am trying to give you. Then we go on to text number 3, where the translation says, to benefit all human society, not only in this life but in the next, the great seers and sages have prescribed various methods conducive to the prosperity of the people in general. So here, some of the important points are that Vedas, generally, if you ask a Brahmana, they will say they are reading the Vedas. The one point is that what is the understanding that they have got from the Vedas? But the point is that the Vedas are presented very nicely, but only an intelligent person can take the essence of Vedas, that one can understand. Veda is known to understand Krishna. Now, there are two types of scriptures. One is Shruti, one is Smriti. The Vedic injunctions that are given in scriptures like Upanishads, Vedas, Puranas, Bhagavad Gita, all these are given by the Lord Himself and they are called Shruti. And the great sages, they have given supplementary presentations on these principles of the Smritis, and that is called Smriti. So one should take the important point in this particular sloka is that one should take the essence of what is available in both the Shruti and Smriti. Why? Because we might have heard by now that spiritual life, and in this sloka there's a mention of not only spiritual life but also material life. And we'll come to know why. One should take the essence of these injunctions that are given in Shruti as well as Smriti for progressing in spiritual or even getting advancement in material opulence. So, what is the importance? We'll understand. In the third canto, there's a mention that Vedic knowledge is called Shruti because knowledge has to be received by hearing. And by hearing only, we can have access to either material or spiritual enjoyment. I'll give the examples for these a little later. In the third canto, also, there's a mention of that there are two kinds of Shruti or scripture. One is spoken by the Lord, the other is spoken about the Lord by his devotees. For example, Bhagavad Gita is a Shruti, which is spoken by the Lord himself, and Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken about the Lord by Vyasadeva, who compiled this Srimad Bhagavatam. That is also called a Shruti because they are all connected to the Lord directly. Then in the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a mention that Vedic injunctions are known as Shruti, and the additional supplementary presentations of these principles as given by great sages are known as Smriti, and they follow the way principles of Vedic instructions. So human beings should take advantage of the instructions both by Shruti and Smriti. So at this point, I want to add one point. You might have heard many times Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. Shastra is very important, and Shastra is non-different from the Lord. Then comes a sadhu. Here, a sadhu means one who is well versed in the Vedic knowledge. And then, even if you have a sadhu who is well versed in knowledge, must understand the importance or necessity of a guru to help us realize this knowledge. So, sadhu, shastra, and guru, these three are very important vital factors to understand the essence of all Vedic knowledge. If we try to understand, read ourselves and try to understand, we will be fooled because it is not very easy. Then there is a quote by Srila Prabhupada, always in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which he quotes in many of his lectures. It's a very popular lecture, the sloka which he says, Shriti Smriti Purana Adi Pancharatri Vidhi Vina Aikantike Harer Bhaktir Upatayaiva Kalpate. The translation is devotional service to the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, Narada Pancharatra, etc., is simply an unnecessary disturbance in the society. Really important understanding on this subject. There are many people who practice in the name of religion. They call themselves as religious minded. I'll give an example. I attended a function few months back in one of the, not a devotees, I mean, they are from other sampradaya. So they did a housewarming ceremony, and after everything was done, they called themselves to be very, very religious minded. Now, they didn't understand what religion is. They did not understand, though they are from Shiva Vaishnava background, they did not understand that the Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But they called themselves to be religious, and after the function was over, they went out for some time and came back before prasadam was served. So then I came to understand that they went out to have a small smoke. So when I asked, they said that they are not able to give up the practice. But in the process of discussion, they explained how their forefathers, like grandfathers and all, were from a great parampara, and they were all attached to religion. So these people are also following them. This is one substandard example of substandard principle of following themselves, calling themselves to be religious, which is what this book also says. It says devotional service to the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic injunctions is simply a unnecessary disturbance in the society. So whoever considers himself to be religious or practicing religious life without reference to the Puranas or Upanishads, etc., they are unnecessary disturbance in the society. Why? Because when these people give a wrong example, there are others who are prepared to follow it. That is why we see that so many times people call themselves religious, but they can't give up addiction like liquor or cigarette or other addictive habits. So that is why this Rupa Goswami mentions that there are unnecessarily disturbance in the society. Another quote that is mentioned in the sixth canto, which says that Vedic knowledge is called Shruti because it must be received by being heard from authorities. That means if we have Vedic knowledge also, we cannot understand. And in the translation stage, it is beyond the realm of false experimental knowledge. That means the Vedic injunctions. In fact, if we see Srimad Bhagavatam, it starts with Janmandyasa Yadaha Atato Brahma Jignasa. That means Srimad Bhagavatam starts by saying that Janmandyasa, what is the purpose of my birth? Then Aham uh, Brahmasmi, that I am transcendental to the three modes of material nature. I am the spirit soul, I am not this material body. That is the answer for this Aham Brahmasmi. So here it is mentioned that the sixth canto, that Vedic knowledge has to be understood or heard from authorities. It is not a scripture to be based or for attaining speculative knowledge. Speculative knowledge is very, very dangerous. That is why I gave this example of a function which I attended. So one must follow the principles that are laid down in the Shruti and Smriti, and one must follow the course that are given in Pancharatra Vidhi and also the Puranas. One cannot become a devotee of the Supreme Lord unless and until they go by the injunction, the Shruti and Smriti. And the Shruti and Smriti without devotional service cannot lead one to perfection of life. This is an important point. The 10th canto is a quote that Vedic Shruti mantras which affirm equivocally the mastery of the Lord over the individual souls cannot be validly contradicted. A true philosopher must accept the statements of Shruti as a reliable authority on all matters they touch. That means whatever Vedic injunctions are given, a real philosopher is one who accepts it in toto instead of trying to argue upon it. One simple example on this is that cow dung is supposed to be very pure. Uh, People, in fact, purify contaminated substances by cleaning with cow dung. In fact, in the previous years, there was no air condition. And I know that people in the interiors, I used to travel a lot in the interior villages, people used to cover their hut with cow dung. But they never, those days, there was no fan, there was no AC, nothing of that sort. So this is how cow dung is very important as per Vedic injunctions. But at the same time, the stool of a human being cannot be considered equal on those respects. So these are all some Vedic injunctions that are given, but one cannot argue why this and why that because these are all injunctions given by the Lord. Another quote in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is about a Vedic injunction where it mentions about the ladies. Now, men are supposed to take 3 times bath a full day, but the ladies are allowed to bath daily up to the neck because they have long hairs. They have hairs. Of course, nowadays you'll hardly find a woman with long hairs. Otherwise, and in the Vedic system, people never used to cut their hairs. They used to have grow their hairs. So, but they are permitted to take bath up to the neck, excepting for festivals where they are doing personal service of the Lord. They should take their bath up to the head. So it is said that the hair on the head does not necessarily have to be washed daily because mass of wet hair may cause a cold. If they take bath with so much of hair, if it is not dried properly, then they can catch cold. So this exemption is given only to Matajis, not to Prabhus. So the example is given that Devoti, Mother Devoti took a bath and washed her hair very nicely. So when a lady takes an ordinary bath, it's called Malasnana. And when she takes a full bath, including the head, it is called Kshirasnana. These are the injunctions from the Smriti Shastra, based on the Shruti Shastra. Then there is a quote on, the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. A child depends completely on the assimilated footsteps of the mother. That means during pregnancy, whatever the mother eats, the child gets the nourishment of that food which the mother takes. So, too much of salt, too much of chili, onion, and other similar food is forbidden for the pregnant mother because the child's body is too delicate and new for him to tolerate such pungent food. So these are all injunctions that are given in the scriptures, irrespective of whichever sampradaya it is. Because If somebody eats an onion and garlic and spicy food, that food enters the child who is in the womb. So therefore, it is in the Smriti, it is given that these are the injunction one should follow. Then they can get a nice child, we get a nice child. Otherwise, the child also starts right from the birth to get taste for spicy and pungent food. Then, yes, in the Manu Samhita, Manusmriti, sorry, not Manu Samhita, Manusmriti, there is a quote that one should never desert his wife and children. In a case where the wife and children are disobedient and do not follow the principles of home life, they are sometimes given up. That means, as per Shastras, once marriage takes place, that is it, until the end of the life, they live together. And this system was prevalent until about 20 or 30 years back. And there was no name called divorce during those years. But as women became independent, then this question of divorce started. I will give from today's purport also what is the reason for this. So human life is meant to take injunction from both Shruti and Smriti to advance not only in spiritual life, but also in the material life. Now, uh, yes, in the Manusmriti, it is said that yeah, woman should always be protected by men. A woman is protected by father in her younger age. Then she's protected by her husband once she gets married, and thereafter she is protected by her son. After uh, uh, generally, the practice used to be that once they attain 50, the husband and wife go to Vanaprastha. The wife comes back, the husband takes sannyasi. But in Kali Yuga, this system is not there. So, Vanaprastha system also is not there. But yesterday, when Mataji was giving a class, Devaki Mataji, who's a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, so she said she was also running short of time and she received some books which has got a lot of important vital points on the Vanaprastha stage of life. So now Vanaprastha does not necessarily mean going to the forest, but there are a lot of injunctions that she mentioned, like how to develop detachment from wife and so forth. It's a deep subject and she didn't touch much onto it. But the point is that ultimately at the end of 50, after 50 years, one should develop detachment from all that is there in this material world, whether it is kith and kin, whether it is wife or children and so forth, if they are serious about going back to Godhead. This was the conclusion that she gave yesterday. So, why women are given the independence today when the Shastra says that women should never be given independence? Because the Western world, they consider male and female to be equal, actually, which is not so. Srila Prabhupada many times mentions in the scriptures women are less intelligent. It is not that they are really less intelligent, but the point is that uh, the sense of discrimination in a woman is much lesser than the sense of discrimination for a man. Not only that, even physically, a woman is a much called a much weaker sex, so she always needs to be protected by men. So when what is given in the Vedas, they are 100% true because it is given by the Lord Himself. And the Western world, they promote that women and men are both equal in gender. And this practice started in the Western world and European countries, and the women were having freedom. And we are all very good in India to follow what the Western world does. So today, women are working outside, and uh, that is one of the reasons for exploitation of women. Today, women are not protected, but Shastra says that women have to be protected if the society has to live a peaceful life. But today, women are not protected. That is the reason we see that uh, uh, men generally exploit women. There are so many rape cases, murder cases, and taking place uh, in the society, which has caused a lot of disturbance, which uh, the present leaders are not able to understand. But still, we will see that many householders where the women are at home, uh, they feel that house is still living a happy life because the husband and wife both should serve together with their respective qualities. Women are endowed with different qualities, men are endowed with different qualities. Men are endowed with qualities that, which requires for them to be working outside, but women are given qualities to endowed with qualities that are necessary for taking care of the children. Give them you all might have heard motherly affection. Today, that motherly affection or fatherly affection does not arise at all, because father used to go out. Now mother also goes out. With the result, the child is brought up in some daycare or hostel or somewhere. So there is no attachment for the child to mother or father. And at the same time, there is no happiness in any of the householder life wherever women are working, because whatever money they bring, they think that they are equal to man and they have to spend it the way man spends, he also has to spend. So with the result, there is no proper atmosphere within the home. That is why people are all unhappy. That is one important point in today's sloka that Srila Prabhupada mentions. Now, there are many injunctions in Manu Samhita also. For example, uh, uh, if a man steals, his hand is cut off. These are injunctions that are given in the Manu Samhita. Why it is given is because if he is punished, then he doesn't have to suffer in the next life. But with the onset of democracy and change of regulations by the so-called political leaders who are prepared to do anything to come and sit in that position, they have made a compromise on all these issues, and uh, the scriptures have been violated. With the result, there is so much of violence everywhere. But I was reading an article last week which said that which are in which was mentioned about which are the safest places in the world today. And one of the place, two at least two, three of the places out of the 10 were in the Arabian Gulf. Now, you all might know that there, what they follow even today is what we used to follow in the yesteryears. I mean, if you go to Saudi Arabia, you will see that if somebody, or even in Dubai, if somebody steals, that his hand is cut off. So this is what we were also following. But due to following of democracy, we have changed all these things to suit our own convenience. And that is the reason the crime rate in all those places is very, very less. Whereas the crime rate in India and other these countries is very, very huge. Even places like America, the crime rate is very high. The reason is that women are given independence, and people tend to exploit women because women also work. And 2 days back, I read an article in one of the states. They have given a permission for women also to work late nights. Now, first and foremost, for a woman to work, go out and work is not permitted in the Shastras. And then to permit a woman to work late night, that is where the exploitation happens, because men know that yes, this woman comes late. So if they have lusty desires, then they look for opportunities to satisfy their lusty desires. That is why the society is not happy, because women are exploited. And these genders have been created by the Lord. We are not responsible for creation. And He has given them all with a purpose. And today, because we don't have an understanding of this, there is no love and affection between the family members. Another important point that is mentioned in this sloka is that Asmin and Amushmin. Asmin means in this life, and what the sages have given, they have given not only for the benefit in this life, but also in the next life. The Amushmin means next life. So generally, those who are even illiterate today, and the materially, they think that uh, with the end of this life, with death, everything is over. But they don't know that there is something called amushmin that is in the next life. So what we are practicing today is going to have an effect on us for the next life, which is what yesterday that Mataji who gave the class, she gave very nicely with a lot of nice examples. She gave a class. If one of you can have access to the YouTube for yesterday night's class, please go through it. He gave a lot of insights on how one should leave the body. That is why this Amushmin is very important, because generally people don't have an understanding that uh, there is something called the next life. They think with this life everything comes to an end. So Bhagavad Gita also, the Lord says to Arjuna, Dehinosmin yata dehe amaram yavanam jara. That means uh, as one passes from birth to old age and so forth, similarly the soul passes to another body at the time of death. And an intelligent person who is one who is not bewildered by these such changes. So it is the duty of everyone that they mold their life in such a way that they live as per Vedic injunctions and lead a happy life, not only in this life, but also they are in a position to uh, live happily in the next life. And that happens by following these Vedic injunctions, that is the Shruti and Smriti. So the conclusion is that people should follow what is given in Shruti and Smriti to make their human life successful. Before I conclude the class, there is one more very nice quote I saw in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, text 23, where the Lord says, Yash Shastra Vidim Utsricya Vartate Kama Karataha Nasasittim Avapnoti Nasukam Na Param Gatim. The translation says, he who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So three important points are given. That means if somebody who discards, does not have value all these scriptural injunctions but act according to his own whims, he does not attain perfection of human life. In fact, Srila Prabhupada very crudely explanation, he says, human life without religious life is like nothing but an animal life. So if somebody discards these scriptural injunctions, is nothing but an animal. Then is mentioned that such a person does not have happiness also. In fact, one of the most important points in today's sloka is also about how to attain happiness. And that happiness comes from observing the revelations from the Shrutis and Smritis. And then finally, that person does not attain the supreme destination also. That is why this Asmin and Amushmin comes. The ultimate destination of each and everyone who has taken human form of life is to understand the Shruti and Smriti, practice it, and finally go back to her Godhead. And that is the purpose the Sadhu Shastra are given. And if one discards these as simple moral instructions, they are mistaken. That is why it is said materially also. Because if a person is punished in this life, he becomes free from that sinful reaction. But otherwise, what happens is if somebody steals, the next life, his wealth is stolen. But if he is punished in today's this thing, he becomes free. He does not have to take a sinful reaction in the next life. That is why these injunctions are very, very important for mankind to follow. Irrespective of the government follows or not, it is the duty of everybody in the human form of life to observe these moral instructions as also for follow spiritual injunctions, moral instructions for living a proper, happy material life. Like, for example, I mentioned how the women should not work and they should not be given freedom, rather they should be protected. And spiritual life means by following the Vedic injunctions, one can progress spiritual life. And there's also injunctions in the scriptures that if a man follows the Vedic injunctions strictly, the wife also shares the benefit out of it. And one day she also becomes religious, even if she is not. So on the other hand, if man is lost, his family is also lost in the process. These are the important points in today's discussions. So we should be very careful in following the Vedic injunctions. I can take some questions or comments in the next few minutes we have.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Danda Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Danda Pranam Prabhu.
Thanks for a very wonderful class, Prabhuji. Prabhu, in this, there is like Shruti and Smriti, what we were talking about, to take in our daily life. But thing is, in this nowadays that people don't have so much of time to read this all the Shrutis and Smritis.
Okay.
So just chanting will do, or one has to. How should one know what are the injections? Like, because there are n number of injections, Prabhu. What to follow, what not to follow. It's very difficult. So how exactly to resolve this, Prabhu?
See, Srimad Bhagavatam is also a Shruti. And the essence of all the scriptures are given by Srila Prabhupada in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So, if you are not able to, I mean, religious life is something one has to give some time for it. Somebody may be working, but still, Srila Prabhupada's quote itself says that if someone keeps on working without able to give time to practice spiritual life, then it is as good as an animal life. One should at least give time to chant his 16 rounds, even if they don't have time to read. If they are able to chant 16 rounds and Srila Prabhupada, as per Prabhupada, this thing, and observe the four regulative principles, that is enough to bring one to the perfection of life. Because when you're chanting the name, you are associating with the Lord. So when you're associating with the Lord, automatically you get purified. And that is what is required to understand the knowledge also. Without purification of our heart, knowledge can never be understood. Then automatically, when you are addressing the Lord by chanting the Mahamantra, the Lord who is seated in the heart as Paramatma, he will facilitate that person by giving him some facilities to give some time. You don't have to, I mean, time factor is different for every different person. But you see, there are many business people who are still giving some time, either while traveling, they listen to lectures. Uh, the Vedic injunctions are not too many, but say certain things which are very, very basic. That, like I mentioned about women being protected. Now, uh, if you see, if you're not able to understand from Srimad Bhagavatam, at least if you hear while traveling, that is enough for you to understand that women have to be protected. But if you say, okay, my wife also want to work, then she also takes and you also take the karma. Your children also take the resultant reactions. You should look at the interest of your family. You first, you, then your family. Forget about the society. As a preaching movement, we are giving the information to everybody. But then, if people don't realize, we can't force them. We have to leave it to them to take the call. That is the reason society is not happy today. Is there one day where a woman is not raped or killed?
Yes, Prabhuji. Every
So
day it
why?
is.
Every day it's a routine, Prabhu. But if she is protected by her husband at home, this question does not arise at all.
So, Prabhu, like injunctions, we can understand of the woman, but as you said very rightly, but just chanting and following the four regulatory principles, that is enough. But still, there are n number of injections which have to be, because once we read it, once we understand it, when we attend the classes, when we read Bhagavatam, maybe we'll be enlightened more
Yes,
and more, or
yes,
else we'll be in a dull state. We don't know what to exactly. You said that at a Vaishnava family where you had been, like, they were doing
yeah,
some puja, they don't know what they are doing, what exactly. This is
correct,
normal case, Prabhuji. We also, like, number of times they do some yagna at home, and we don't know what mantra they chant, what they do.
correct.
We don't know what exactly, how exactly one should be, Prabhuji. One should be have full knowledge of what is going on, because the mantras, what they're saying, what is the meaning of the mantras. Should we go deep on this, or how exactly it should be, Prabhuji?
Prabhu, Prabhupada has given one Maha Mantra. You follow that. What others are doing, we leave it. If you bother about others, you should not get lost in the process. Like I also go out and preach to the extent we put our efforts. But somebody is not convinced, we leave it to them, Prabhu. Ultimately, they have to take some resultant reactions of whatever they do, whether they are from this sampradaya or that sampradaya. The principles in all the four sampradayas are same, one and the same. There's no difference, Prabhu. Marginal difference might be
That
there. We don't permit coffee and tea. In Sri Sampradaya, they may permit coffee and tea also. Even the pujaris drink coffee. But at a higher level, they also don't take, at the time of performing homa, sacrifice, they may take a little bit milk, that's all. So we have to be fortunate enough to be associated under the shelter of Srila Prabhupada. That is where we can look at it. If you try to compare others, we should not get lost in the process.
Yes, yes.
I don't eat in such places if I go for preaching also.
Mhm. And Prabhu, like as very rightly as it's said in Shastra regarding the woman, she should be protected.
Yes.
But nowadays, all the women, they want to work and they like they want to be independent, and Prabhu, they feel like any household work is something like it is like a servant. We are, if they do some household work even in their house also, Prabhu, like they feel like they are doing like as if a servant or something like that. Why they don't want to do? They want to keep some other servants. They want to do the don't want the household work. That the how the mentality nowadays has come up, Prabhuji.
I know this
And
is because of the media, TV,
maybe- yes,
phone,
yes, yes.
newspaper.
And they all want to go and independently work. And even for Prabhuji, if we were looking for a groom, they ask whether the bride is working or not. The stage has come in such a way now. They don't want a household wife, they want a working woman. So this, I don't know how exactly it's going to, or they, because people earlier, as I said, 20 years back, really they were all like we used to the ladies were like even my own wife, when came, she was just taking care of the house, everything properly, everything is done, everything. Nowadays, no, that mentality is not there, Prabhuji.
I agree with you totally. Like I said, uh, we have to find a solution. And the solution is first we practice ourselves so that we don't come back again here. The next is see that our family is also protected under this umbrella somehow or the other. But if in any case, if they are not following, you should not ignore your spiritual life. I mean, it's their destiny. If they don't want to go back to Godhead. But we should, having come to know the truth, we should be careful. We don't want to come back. Even if we come back, we should be in a much better life than before. That is why this loka mentions about Shruti and Smriti. At least we know that there is another life. So we should plan for it in this life itself.
Yes, yes, Prabhu. Thanks a lot, Prabhuji. Thank you
Thank you,
very
Prabhu.
much.
Prabhu, next
Hare
week I'm
Krishna.
out of station. I'm going on a yatra, but somebody will be
Okay,
giving
okay,
the class. Following week, I'll
okay,
resume my class again.
okay, okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.